Shanti, good morning. The knowledge received in this part of the episode is a knowledge given by the Supreme Soul, and it's a knowledge of salvation. The Supreme Soul, the beautiful one, is rescuing you, me, this I, this real I, is being rescued from the abuse, from the slaviness of the five vices, which is the demons. With this knowledge, the real I is able to awake and to experience and to know what is the truth. And yes, the more the truth comes or emerges, the more the falsehood fights back. It's amazing that this supreme being actually comes into the film. It comes into this episode with a mission of love, a mission to rescue the real ones. This knowledge is called, has many titles, and one of them is the Father. Perhaps to give a feeling of what a physical father does. I believe that all those titles are only used for the stone, for the intellect that has become stone to be able to grasp who he is. In fact, there is no father or mother or brother or sister in the incorporeal dimension, and these incorporeal beings have none of those titles. They've got a few things in common. When awake, they have unconditional love for each other, not the physical love experienced in the physical dimension, which is a delusion, an illusion charged with emotions of sorrow. But that unconditional love is pure. It has no attachments, it has no sorrow, it has no give or take. It's just without any condition. At the moment that unconditional love has been put asleep, and these beings, including me, majority of the times are asleep. And when they are asleep is the delusion of the repetitive thoughts about the story, the film that the demon uses that is awake. concentration is needed to observe, to notice what's inside the mind, what are the reactions inside the mind. And the beautiful one comes and teaches us and teaches me, observe and change. By observing and changing, transformation gradually occurs. At the moment, the real I has been or has experienced a few births, and in all these births there are situations, there are emotions that have created tendencies, and those tendencies go from birth to birth. At a moment in the confluence of the end between aspas and the beginning, the confluence age is the age of transformation. And the transformation is about transforming those old tendencies associated with something that I am not. Those tendencies of sadness, of attachment, of greed, tendencies of lust, tendencies of anxiety, tendencies of panic. Those are the tendencies that are to be transformed, and there is only one way to transform these tendencies. The first way, or the first step, is actually to want to change those tendencies, because those tendencies are not me. Even those tendencies are not part of me, but those tendencies are in me, attached, glued in the shape of layers, transforming me in what I am not. And so these tendencies, the only way to burn them, to dissolve them, is by being in the company of truth. And the company of truth is indeed, or in fact, the company of the unique, alokik, not from this world being. The one everybody calls God is actually the only being that is constantly awake and that has no mixture of tendencies associated with the demons. That amazing being has only tendencies of truth. And so by being in the company of him, it's possible to be transformed. And the yoga or meditation or connection with him is actually the only way to burn away those sanskars, those tendencies, those scars, like a scar in the skin. And that's actually the mission of the Beautiful One. And in case you accept it, it's now your mission. The mission is to be in truth. And when I know the truth, when I have access to the treasure of truth, I want to share it with all the rest of these beautiful beings. Once again, using a corporeal word, family. That's the mission. And the first mission is to save me, to be able to be awake as much as possible, to be able to see and to experience the truth, because that can be as well a form of contributing for the mission of awaken the rest of these beautiful beings. The power of the vibration of a thought can be much more powerful than the power of a word. And yes, tests are coming, because to be able to be like the unique, beautiful, supreme soul is a great task, is a great challenge. And therefore, tests are coming to test if the real I really wants to be awake, if the real I has really burned the old sanskars associated with the tests, associated with the vices, with the demon. And that's the mission, that is my mission, that is my goal, to remain awake, to remain in truth, and as much as possible to contribute to the other beautiful beings that are around me. Because every time I forget those beings and I see only their bodies, their shapes, I'm actually giving power to the physical part of those human beings and forgetting the beings that are inside those humans, shapes, forms. So that's the mission as well, is to experience as much as possible those beautiful beings, because they are part of an invisible world, like a flower or like a tree that I can contemplate. Is the beauty, the color, the fragrance, but indeed the essence of that flower is not the shape of it, it's not the color or the fragrance, but is or was in fact the seed that was planted underneath the soil. And that's a good example. It happens exactly the same thing with the human beings, that where only the human part is visible and the being is actually invisible.